Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today on Filmaru, we're going to be interviewing Sophia, or as you might know her best, Platypus_Pro on WEBTOON. She is one of their many writers, and she is also a huge inspiration to both me and many others from both the LGBTQ community and the transgender community, and she is the writer of the comic The Prettiest Platypus. She's also one of many helpful people that I've been lucky enough to rely on while I'm transitioning, and I thank her heavily for that.
You're welcome. It feels so weird to be thanked for anything like that.
Well, I mean, your comic is really good, and judging by how many people actually read it, it must be. To other people.
Yeah. It just feels so weird. I just, started it as like an event, and then it became this big thing that a lot of people read. Way more people than I would ever believe.
So, I guess, going away from the questions that we already have, why don't you tell the people a bit about yourself?
My name is Sophia. Most people call me Sophie. I am the author of The Prettiest Platypus, and it is basically based off of my life about the first year after coming out as trans, and that was about 3 years ago that I came out at this point, and it's a fun evolution of seeing where my life's gone, especially putting it onto paper and seeing people relate to everything I've written.
It's good to at least get some insight into your life. I mean, we don't really get that from many people.
Well, I feel like I'm just a person. I'm not really a content creator. So I guess a lot of people, when they go onto like the Discord channels of these bigger creators that they follow, they don't expect to ever hear from them. And it's nice talking to the people who read my work.
Yeah, and there's also the point that you're a bit more down to earth than most other content creators on like WEBTOONS, where you actually put out there that you want to talk with people, you want to hear their feedback, you want to maybe get some inspiration from other people's ideas, like the thing that happened on April Fool's Day. I'm forgetting her name.
The fanfic comment.
Yes.
With Autumn.
Yes. Honestly, I gotta say that was one of the best works on there. No offense, but just seeing Beverly and Lily getting together, like, I've always kind of wanted to see that.
Yeah. So Autumn and I are pretty close friends, just in general, and for that, the funny thing is, I was just like, I got the email from WEBTOONS asking if I wanted to do their April Fool's thing where we switch out the profile pictures with a picture of your dog or pet in general. And I was like, I need to do something for just myself because it is on a posting day. And I frantically messaged her about that. After I got home from my drive, I was like, I have to do this, please. And she's like, I want you to do this. And it was so much fun to get that done.
Yeah. Actually, I was one of the few people that actually got to read it beforehand, and it did give me a bit of inspiration when I was trying to write my own story.
That's nice. I think Autumn's a pretty decent writer. I don't want to say anything that she doesn't want to have shared, but she's thought about going more professional with her writing too.
She definitely should.
I agree.
So when did you first realize you liked drawing?
So when I was a kid, and everyone has I was a kid when this happened, but my parents told me this as early as when I was 6 or so. We would go to restaurants, and I would flip over the placemats and ask for a pen or a crayon or whatever we had. And I'd say, give me an animal to draw. And did this for years. And my family always said that they were like, she's either going to be an artist or she's going to be a biologist. And turns out I took the art route.
Yeah, I did something similar when I was around the same age. I'm pretty sure most of us did. For some reason, I was so fascinated with trying to draw Star Wars ships and figures. And actually, my grandparents took one of them and put them on the, I think they put it on the tree for Christmas. And just, unlike you, I decided to go the content creator route.
I mean, I'm a content creator, technically.
Okay, I mean like the video creator
No,
where you went the artist.
Yeah, I didn't get good at it until, like, late high school, though. So, you know, it's been a lot of practice and time to get there.
Question 2. Do you have any other hobbies other than drawing?
Drawing is my main hobby, but when I'm not, because, you know, you don't always have the ability to, I am a huge fan of just sitting down with a good video game and just getting, usually like Pokemon or something. I love a good, like, chill RPG to play.
Alright, in that case, what's your favorite Pokemon?
Favorite Pokemon? Minun.
Who?
Minun.
Is that the one, the little mouse Pokemon with the minus signs on it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Gen 3 Pika clone. Or one of the two, because it's a pair with Muscle.
I'm more partial to Piplup.
I love Piplup, but, like, I have so many Pokemon I love, it's not even near the top.
What is your favorite genre of music?
Gender of music. Oh, I love gender music. I honestly am not great at finding new music, so most of what I listen to is game soundtracks or stuff that's like a meme. So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Okay, what's your favorite soundtrack?
Soundtrack? Okay. So if I want something with lyrics, it's Xenoblade Chronicles X. The music does not fit the game at all, but it is some of my favorite music, period. For something without, it's probably Banjo-Kazooie.
I've heard neither.
They're both good games. I would recommend.
But what made you want to turn your story into a comic?
So, originally, like, I was going through a lot of not great stuff shortly after coming out, and I was keeping a very detailed diary for a while. And I, like, when COVID started, and you had nothing better to do than sit in your chair and read every single trans webcomic out there, I was reading them, and I kept going, I don't see anything that's me, or my experiences. So I basically took 2 stories. One was just my diary that I wanted to make into like a little daily about me comic, and the other being just like a cute group of queer kids getting together and you know, getting through life together. And I combined them, and now Prettiest Platypus exists.
Awesome. I can actually kind of agree with you. Like, while there are comics out there, there's, as I've said on many of my LGBTQ book reviews, there's not really that many that try to show like pre-op stories. Like, most of them are like focused on the post-op, or if it's a teenager or older.
The first 7 chapters of the comic are about figuring out who Lily is, and like every other comic you read, they've already figured it out. They already know. And there's not a lot of the turmoil with it. The trying to figure yourself out is hard. And it's worth having stories of figuring yourself out instead of just skipping to when the character already knows who they are and what they want.
Exactly. I mean, if we don't, I mean, honestly, I'm pretty sure your story is pretty much a guide for some people where they have someone to look up to, someone who might be going through exactly what they're going through and might have a bit more insight than someone who might not have gone through something similar.
Right, and like one of the things that that relates to that is a lot of people. I get comments all the time of people who aren't trans, who are very comfortable being cis, and they'll make a comment like, "This humanized it for me. This made me a little easier to understand what it's like to be trans." And I feel like having that type of resource out there, especially right now, while we are like constantly under attack, is we have to humanize ourselves to the rest of the world, because we're a small percentage of the population.
Right. Question 5. Who would you say is your biggest influence? Could be a family member, could be a figure that you've seen in history books or movies or anything. So who inspires you?
So the things that inspire me are, I would say, like specific artists I could not give you, because oh my god, I love so many artists and I couldn't pick a favorite. But like the things that inspire me are like, and this is gonna sound awful, but like some characters from anime, like, I don't know, Simone from Gurren Lagann, where it's this always can do attitude, even if you're scared, that you just gotta push forward, and eventually, if you keep going, you'll break through.
Wasn't Simone kind of like a scared little kid until he got into the robot and actually tried to save everybody?
He was terrified for pretty much the entire first half of the show, but like that growth, showing that you can be terrified and still, achieve what you need to do and follow your dreams, is really inspiring.
Out of all your characters, who would you say is your favorite and why?
So from the characters that get posted on the comic, it's a hard tie between Lily and Beverly, because Lily is very much myself, and I just love their dynamic together, to the point that they're basically one character sometimes. But my favorite characters are some of the ones that are, not published yet in anything, stuff from future projects.
Ooh. Well, we can't wait to see them.
I can't wait to get to them, honestly.
With Lily and Beverly, I kind of agree, because Beverly is like the older sister of the group who's constantly looking after Lily, constantly worrying for her, but also she doesn't always make the best decisions. Like during the few chapters that you've been writing right now, where Lily's in kind of this spot where she's still a bit terrified of what happened that one night in the park. She's dealing with the fallout of her parents not supporting her completely like most people would think they would. And her sister's also kind of going through college right now and dealing with school stuff. so she can't always be there for her.
Didn't have much to do outside of when she appears in chapter 1 and like brings Lily to the friend group. And then as I kept writing and writing and writing, this dynamic appeared. It just made sense that like because like when you're going through trauma like Lily is, it's very difficult for anybody to know exactly what to do to help. And like as someone who really wants to help and protect, she's trying to learn to adapt. And I find that dynamic extremely interesting. But that's pretty much been the real goal, is just tell a story that people are resonating with. And as like a joke answer, I really want the platypus to be a widely accepted trans symbol. But we'll go with a story that people resonate with.
Honestly, I think the platypus has definitely become a symbol. I mean, everybody loves platypi.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not? They're so cute.
I just feel you should also add a little hat in the show, like the prettiest Perry the platypus.
I kind of want to keep it separate just because there's that connection that's a little too... It feels like he's the only platypus, for lack of a better way of putting it. And it's like, I want my platyfly to have her own identity outside of, just Phineas and Ferb existing. As much as I love it.
Understandable. It was just a joke.
Yeah, I know.
So, do you feel like your comic has helped other people?
So, personally, if you asked me without all of the evidence, I would have said no. But I get messages maybe a few times a month, every month since like a year of the comic being out, maybe a little earlier, of people saying how much it helped them and how it helped them like figure out they were trans, come to terms with it, or as I said earlier, trans people better. And as much as it's like, I'm just one person, how in the world could I have helped anybody? It really sounds like I've helped a lot of people, no matter how much.
Well, I mean, not a lot of people have an outlet where maybe their family's not as agreeing, and they, like, again, with the chapter where Lily's forced to come out to her parents because she's just been attacked by this random jerk face who decided to try and harm her, and now she's got to deal with her parents who, they're from an older generation than her that might be not as accepting of her identity. I went through a very similar thing and still am with my family, to the point where they're not okay with me transitioning because they've always seen me as a boy.
That is true that they should, but so part of it is like, I get a lot of comments whenever the parents show up. People just furious that they exist, or even sometimes when the parents aren't even there. And it is a little frustrating, like as the author, and because the parents are essentially copy-pasted from my parents, it's not super fun to hear people say they want to hurt my actual mom. Like, not directly, but it is implied. And like, this is going to be touched on later in the comic, but people can change, and people can like learn to accept. Because my parents are fantastic now. They are great with gendering correctly. You only hear me get dead named maybe once in a blue moon. And I feel like, as sad as it is that the worst case scenario that she is going through is so common, and it was very close to what I went through, that it's important to show that, like, as much as it could start horrible, there is a chance. I can't guarantee anything, obviously, because like I can't speak for every single person's parents, but there is a chance that if you give them time, that, you know, things come around and they realize that you're happier, which is like the biggest thing that helped my parents when they realized how much happier I was since transitioning. And I feel like I want to get that out there, especially because a lot of people resonated with that.
I mean, then again, also, there's the part where a lot of people are just looking for a villain in this comic that, like, everybody loves to hate an authority figure or someone who might go against their point of view at the beginning, and everyone also loves a redemption story.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say there's any actual villains in my story. I would say that there's not so great misunderstandings, but nobody is going into anything with bad intentions other than the thief in Chapter 8, who will never appear again.
Good.
And some other stuff down the line that I will not spoil.
Well, that brings us into the next question. Are there any future arcs or storylines you're excited to explore in your comic?
So, next few chapters are huge. I am super excited all the way through, I think 20, just going off the top of my head. And, like, so every day, at least noon my time. And part of my Monday and Friday ritual is I wait about a half hour, eat lunch with my friends, do whatever, and then I get to read the comments. Every page is so fun to see what people say about it. And that's a huge part of my day, and I'm so excited to see, like, you know, stuff that people know is coming up, like therapy or the Fall Fest, and, you know, some stuff that you're not super keyed in on happening soon.
Okay, and finally, will we ever get merchandise in the future, like a platypus plushie or a lily pin?
I want to do all of the merchandise possible. That is non-negotiable for me, because I want that stuff too. And so right at the moment, I don't know how to do it. I need to look into how to do all those things. And, like, I know, like, they have, like, Makeshift, a company that does plushies, but you need a certain amount of support for it. It's basically a crowdfunded project. And I'm not sure yet if we have enough support for a crowdfunded plush, and I kind of want to wait a little longer before I try launching that.
Okay.
But I will say that I do have a Redbubble where there are some stickers and things available, and I may or may not be already redrawing the storybook from the start of the story to get it officially published as a book.
Nice. Alright, now, here's a separate question. Would you ever be willing to have me in, like, a background role in the comic?
No, wait, it's not what you think. This is a big misunderstanding. You've got to believe me. Listen, I am telling you! You better listen to me, SpongeBob!
I'd prefer to not add real people after the hilarious fiasco with my parents. I do have plans to add, just as background characters, some people from... I have already done it, some people from the server, I'm not gonna lie. So, like, in more crowd shots, you will see people that you might recognize from the Discord server in there.
Okay. Anything you'd like to say to the audience that we might not have touched on?
Not really. Just thank you for having me, and I'm so glad that people are willing to read my comic, my little story that I never thought anyone would follow.
No problem. And how can people reach you?
You can find me at Twitter at platypus_pro, Instagram at Prettiest Platypus, and the easiest way to actually get a hold of me and talk to me would be joining the Discord server.
You heard it here, people. You have all her social media, and now you can go send all your love and support to her.
Yep.
So, yeah, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I definitely love to have Sophia on again sometime. Whether it's talking about other storylines, other projects she may have. So let us know in the comments section if you'd enjoy that. And thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Have a great night, guys.